You know, last year we shipped over 1,000 tons of literature all around the world, and you know, all the literature that we ship, there's not a piece of it that has Love Package's name on it. So most of the people that get the literature from us never know that it comes from us. Now that doesn't mean that we don't hear from people. It doesn't mean that we don't get testimonies. We get testimonies from all over the world. And if you go to the website, you'll be able to see some of those testimonies. But from time to time, there's a little lull, or there's a little dead space where we don't get a testimony for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And during those times, you know, it's just it just begins to be work, because you're throwing boxes and you're working hard. You're working 50 hours a week. You know, you're throwing boxes, you're packing stuff up, you're sorting literature, you're doing all those kind of things. And it was recently that we just had a problem where we kind of didn't have testimonies. You know, they're kind of a shot in the arm, kind of a joy to our heart, you know, help us keep going, you know. I mean, you know what you're doing is good, and you know what you're doing is working, and it's because God promised in His Word that it wouldn't return to Him void. So, I mean, you know by faith that what you're doing is significant, but some days it just gets to be work. We were in a period of like that, and so the staff and I gathered together and we prayed and we said, God, you know, we need to hear of somebody's life being changed. Can you please send us some testimonies so that we can have the joy of the Lord again? So about 3 days later, I was sitting here at my desk and I was looking at my email, and I got an email from one of our literature distributors, Pastor Paul in India, and he sent me 35 testimonies of people's lives that have been changed because of Love Package's literature. And so I called the staff in. I said, hey, come in here, guys. You know, I want to read these stories to you. And so I began to read the stories to them as they sat down. The first story was from a young lady. She said, I'm a young lady, and you know, my parents died by an accident, and it wasn't very long. You know, I was taken in by some distant relatives. I didn't have any immediate family, but distant relatives took me in. But it wasn't very long, and they told me, listen, you know, it's very difficult for us. We can't afford to keep you. She said, India is a very difficult place, and so they told me, you must go now. You must leave. You have to leave our home. And so she said, I was a devout Hindu, and so I prayed to all my Hindu gods, and I prayed and I asked them, please help me, help me, help me. And she said, and none of them would listen or hear my prayers. She said, I didn't even have enough to take food. She was starving to death. So she said, why am I living such a miserable life? And so she decided that she was going to walk over to the train station, and there she was going to throw herself in front of a train and put an end to her miserable life. Walking in front of the train station, she wrote to us and said, I ran into one of your literature distributors, and he gave me a little booklet called The Almost Christian. She said it captured my attention. She said, I said to myself, I must sit down and read this before I die. So she sat down and she read for the first time in her life about Jesus Christ. And she gave her life to Christ. God snatched her at the very edge of eternity. While I'm reading the testimony to the staff, the phone rings. And I pick up the phone. And it's Pastor Paul that just sent me the email. And he says, I wanted to make sure that you got the email that I sent. Did you get them? I sent you an email today with lots of different testimonies. Did you get them? I said, I'm reading them right now. I'm reading the one about the woman that was going to throw herself in front of a train. Oh, he said, she's such a fine Christian. She's going everywhere. She's leading hundreds of young ladies to the Lord. She's taking your literature, going everywhere. So, you know, not only did one piece of literature at exactly the right time save that woman's life, but that woman now is seeing hundreds of young ladies give their life to Christ. You never can tell what you could accomplish by collecting your literature and sending it to Love Packages. You can find out more information on our website or our Facebook account.